Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is my review of The Dark Crystal, the Jim Henson and Frank Oz film, two directors, released in, I think it was the summertime of 1982. Now, of course, I was very familiar with Jim Henson projects when I was about 10 years old. I'd seen The Muppet Show and I'd seen Labyrinth. But then I saw Dark Crystal afterwards. I saw Labyrinth first, then a year later saw Dark Crystal. And Labyrinth is unique in that we only have two lead human characters, Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie. Oh, and the baby called Toby. So if you like, three human characters. But apart from that, all puppets. Nothing but puppet characters everywhere you look. The Dark Crystal takes this concept one step further. It's nothing but puppets. No human characters at all, just puppets, And it is one of the few films to do that. Very few films have nothing but puppets, And, I like Dark Crystal better than Labyrinth. Don't get me wrong, Labyrinth was very good indeed. I just thought that the story was better. It was like the improved version of Labyrinth, And, okay, I'll start right at the beginning. Dark Crystal came out, 1982. It didn't do as well as they might have hoped for two reasons. Firstly, children complained that it was a bit too scary. Oh no, children didn't complain. No, parents complained. They said it was too scary. There are some creepy, violent bits and the torture scenes of the podlings. That's horrible. But then, because parents were expecting it to be like the Muppet Show, really clean cut and cute and cuddly. Because that's how it was advertised. The Jim Henson Company, the people that brought you the Muppet Show, But no, Jim Henson was trying to be a bit different, This is meant to be a bit scary. And he said it's healthy for kids to be scared now and again, because if they're never scared of anything, then they think the whole world is like in a bubble where everything's cute and cuddly and nothing bad can ever hurt you. No, you need to go out in the big bad world and see there are dangers out there, And I'm not saying it's okay to scare the heck out of children. No, I meant nothing above a PG level. I mean, being scared in a story, it can be entertaining, but also educational. It teaches you there are dangers out there. And in the same way, the hero in the story, Jen the Gelfling, he's used to staying at home all the time. But then he has to go out in the big bad world, and face terrible dangers, Effectively, it's a bit like a coming-of-age story. You've got to grow up. The bird has to leave the nest sometime, Anyway, and the other reason Dark Crystal didn't make as much as they might have hoped. I mean, it did make the money in return, yes, but it wasn't a huge blockbuster because of E.T., yes. In the summer of 82, pretty much everyone just wanted to see E.T. and nothing else, and this affected the sales of other films, Oh, speaking of E.T., don't get me wrong, E.T. was a really great, groundbreaking film, but there were other good films in 1982, When I first saw Dark Crystal, I saw it on television. It was at Christmas time, on the 27th of December. It wasn't deemed popular enough to be shown on Christmas Day. Oh, really? What did they show on Christmas Day? E.T. Oh, okay, that was above everything else. E.T. is good, but yes, in the same time it was released, there was Rocky 3, Blade Runner, Conan the Barbarian. There were other good films as well, Okay, the story, right. Well, when Jim Henson and Frank Oz made this film, they did some screen tests and people couldn't get into it, didn't like it, because strange names of places, strange names of people, So we need a bit of backstory, a bit like an intro, So we have a narrator at the beginning of the film, and the narrator is also the voice of one of the Urskeks. We'll get to that in a minute. He says, another world, another time, in the age of wonder. This is the castle of the crystal. 1,000 years ago, this land was green and good. Then the crystal cracked, a piece of it went missing, a shard, and two new races appeared, the cruel Skeksis, the gentle mystics. Now, an Urskeks, there were, I think, about 10 of them. They were the original lords of the crystal, and each one of them split in two, and that's why these two new races appeared, the Skeksis and the mystics, Now, the Skeksis rule in the castle, and they live forever because they get energy from the crystal, which is connected to the three suns, And a beam of light goes, and the beam of light goes into their eyes, and that's why they have prolonged life. They can live forever, They're old and haggard and wrinkly. They don't have eternal youth. They have eternal life. So yes, instead of saying young and fit, They just get more and old and haggard. Yes, they have their hard and twisted bodies, their harsh and twisted wills. They are mean and cruel and enslave people. Yeah, the poor podlings are all made slaves, yeah. But by the Dark Crystal, there was this thing, it's not the Dark Crystal itself, but a reflector of it that harnesses energy from the crystal, and it steals the podling's essence, so they can't think for themselves anymore. They just become mindless zombies, mindless slaves, yeah. I wasn't scared when I saw it, but then that's because I was 10. I wouldn't recommend 4-year-olds seeing this film. No, I think you need to be, well, at least 7 or 8, otherwise it's a bit much, a bit too scary, yeah. And, okay, nitpick time. The character of Jen, I didn't like the name, Jen, because, well, 2 reasons. That's short for Jennifer, isn't it? That's a girl's name. And secondly, I wanted the characters to have unusual names that don't exist on planet Earth, names I've never heard before. Like one of the mystics is called Uru, and there's Aughra, the keeper of the secrets, yeah. So why give these down-to-earth names to the lead characters? Yeah, it's silly. And he's supposed to be the last ever Gelfling, but spoiler alert, no, there is one other called Kira, and she's a Gelfling too. And but I went to school with a girl called Kira. That's not an exotic alien name; that's an Earth name. So no, give them names we've never heard before, but they don't. So there we are. Yeah. Anyway, oh yes, and there's a link between the Skeksis and the Mystics, although they're totally different characters. There is a connection, yeah. When there's only 10 Skeksis left, the leader is dying, and the leader of the Mystics is dying. When a Skeksis gets a nasty cut on his hand, abruptly one of the Mystics has a cut on his hand, just appears out of nowhere. When one of the Skeksis, he doesn't die a natural death, no, he falls down a chasm and dies, and one of the Mystics abruptly dies. Yeah, so whatever happens to one happens to the other. It's like yin-yang, whatever affects one happens to the other. You need good and the evil, yeah. And they're joined together like that. Anyway, Jen is a bit of a reluctant hero. He doesn't particularly want to do this mission, but it is his master's dying wish, that he's like a father figure, so he must respect his wishes. And also, the mystics say, why do you think we kept you here secretly for so long? So that when the day comes, you will save the world. That's what it's all about, yeah. It's your destiny, it's sort of been forced upon him, this mission. But in spite of his lack of experience, he's not a fighter, not even a very good navigator, but he does his best, In spite of his lack of experience, he is doing quite well. He goes to Aughra, keeper of the secrets. He gets the shard from her. She's just about to tell him what the shard is for, and then the Garfim come in, these giant beetle monsters. They're supposed to capture the Gelfling. They capture Aughra by mistake, yeah. And, yes, when I was a kid, I thought that each one of those Garfim, those beetle monsters, was a state-of-the-art animatronic puppet that can move about on mechanical legs. No, each one of those Garfim has a person inside it, like a bodysuit. Yeah, I thought the Skeksis could walk about on robot legs. No, each Skeksis has a person inside it. However, when the Skeksis talk, when their lips bare their teeth, and when they blink and smile like that, that is radio-controlled puppetry. So in other words, there's many different kinds of puppetry. Glove puppets, marionette thing, animatronics, whatever works for the scene, yeah. And, oh yes, they did. There were many talks of doing a sequel, but no, Jim Henson was, well, how can there be a sequel because of the way it ends? Maybe a prequel, maybe not, And after Jim Henson's death, that idea was executed because there was a prequel TV show called The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. I think it was shown on Netflix. So yes, and there is some CGI in the new Dark Crystal prequel show, but they keep that to a minimum. Only use it when ultimately necessary. There is lots of live action puppetry as well, which is good, yeah, as a mark of respect to the original film. And yes, in the original film, yes, if ever you could see the rods of the arms controlling the puppets, they do another take until they got it exactly right. In Labyrinth, when Sir Didymus bows his head and takes his health, you can see the rod controlling his hands. Yeah, but no, as far as I know, that never happens in the Dark Crystal, yeah. And, well, in a way, although it's a fairly simple, straightforward plot, no, you do need to see it more than once to fully understand what's going on. because I didn't know what the shard was for. They do explain what the shard is for very briefly in one scene. So if you missed that scene, yeah, you need to find out what's going on. The shard is to heal the crystal, and when Jen reads the hieroglyphs from a place that used to belong to Gelflings, oh no, Gelfling is the plural of Gelfling, anyway, and it's all in ruins, because of course Gelfling have been almost extinct for a very long time, and Jen reads the poem on the hieroglyphics. It says, when single shines the triple sun, what was sundered and undone, shall behold the two made one, by Gelfling hand or else by none. So there's 3 suns, and once every 1,000 years they become aligned like that, and a great source of power, and it's the Great Conjunction. Now, a great conjunction in the broader sense means a big change is going to happen. It might be good, it might be bad, yeah. So now this is a turning point. Well, technically he doesn't figure it out. His friend Kira figures it out. This is a piece of the Dark Crystal. That's what your master meant. When he said heal the crystal, you've got to put it back inside the main crystal. That is how you can save the world, yeah. So off they go on those land strider creatures that run really fast, yeah. And, oh yeah, I had a book version of the Dark Crystal, and the slaves are called the Pod People. So I guess there was a bit of a mistake there. They're not called the Pod People, they're called the Podlins, yeah. And they raised Kira, the other girl thing, yeah. However, sometimes you see things from the other point of view. The Skeksis are totally evil, don't get me wrong, but I can understand why they wanted Gelfling extinct. Because they will die. If the crystal is healed by Gelfling, they will all die. So they're protecting their own lives, yeah. The mystics, however, think, no, it doesn't matter if you die, as long as you save the planet. Like the big climax at the end, okay, the crystal has been healed, and because the Garfin were powered by the crystal, they all die. Anyway, the 8 remaining mystics get round in a circle, the laser beams come out their eyes, they get each one of the Skeksis, and then absorb them, and they will become one. They will turn into the Urskeks creatures, yeah. There's just one problem with this. What happens each time that when a Skeksis is absorbed with a mystic, they become one, what happened to those original 2? They just die. Oh, that's rather sad, because the Skeksis were evil, but the mystics were good. They were goodies. They didn't deserve to die. But no, they've gone. They're dead. A new race, the Urskeks, they are now the Lords of the Crystal. They were the original Lords of the Crystal, so everything's come full circle. They become Lords of the Crystal again. But the poor mystics that died, well, I guess they're looking at the big picture. They're willing to sacrifice their lives to save the world, to make it green and good again. The Skeksis, however, the opposite. They only care about their own selfish gratification. Yeah, they don't care about the well-being of the people, as long as they get to rule it, yeah. And the story ends as it began. The Crystal Castle, then we see it again. The same location, but it looks totally different. Instead of a barren wasteland, the land is green and lots of things are growing on it, and there's a flowing river. Yeah, the same location, but it looks utterly different. So the prophecy is fulfilled, yeah. And yes, it is visually stunning, all these amazing creatures. I mean, put it this way, sometimes when you have an animatronic puppet in a film, you have to wait a long time to see the creature. There's no waiting at all. You see these cool puppets throughout the entire film, yeah. For me, one of the most impressive sequences is the swampland, where everything is alive. These things that look like plants just come to life here, there and everywhere. Creatures that don't exist, yeah. And the land of Fra, yeah. And it doesn't specify if it's in the past or the present or the future, but then there's no references to Earth culture. It's nothing to do with Earth. It makes you feel like you're in a totally alien world, cut off from Earth culture, yeah. So yes, Jim Henson did many really impressive projects, but yeah, this perfectly captures the hero, a character arc. He becomes wiser as the journey progresses, yeah. So for me, the best thing the Jim Henson Company ever did was the Dark Crystal, yeah. And it still looks visually stunning today. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.